Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, we have lots of very important changes on the ground, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the South Donetsk direction, where the Russians continue their offensive operation, and during the previous night, according to information we received from neutral mappers and from pro-Ukrainian mappers, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly between the villages of Katerinovka and Bogoyavlenka. So the Russians, summarizing everything, took under control the farms in the southern part of Katerinovka. The Russians took the tree lines and the fortifications between the village of Vadiana itself and Katerinovka, and the Russians got closer to the village of Bogoyavlenka. So let's compare the map between the 21st and the 22nd of October. This is the situation on the by the end of the 21st of October. The Russians, we just received the confirmations about the Russians improving their positions inside of the village, and as for the 22nd of October, the Russians managed to move even further. So currently the distance between possible Russian edge positions in the vicinity of the village by the name of Yelizavetovka and the first buildings and farms of Yelizavetovka itself is less than 1.5 kilometers, and the distance between possible Russian positions between in the direction of Bogoyavlenka and Bogoyavlenka itself is less than 2.5 kilometers. So the Russians are moving and moving and moving. Now let's talk about the Kurakhove direction, where the Russians managed to improve their positions as well. As you can see, we have changes on the ground. This is the situation on the 21st of October, and this is the situation on the 22nd of October. As you can see, this direction is very dynamic, and the Russians began moving in this direction somewhere on the 17th of October. And let's take a look at the dynamic. For example, this is the situation on the ground on the 15th of October, so basically a week ago. And on the 17th of October, the Russians, the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, reported that the Russians took under control the village of Maximilianovka completely. Then we had reports that the Russians improved their positions along N15 road. Later we got additional reports that the Russians managed to improve their positions a little bit more along the N15 road. On the 21st of October, we got the first report that the Russians entered the village of the town of Kurakhove itself, and we have the video with the Russian flag in the most eastern outskirts of the settlement. And today, on the 22nd of October, we have the significant progress in the village of Kurakhove itself. We have geolocation that was published by the 46th Air Mobile Brigade, another Russian massive attack with a significant number of tanks, armored vehicles and personal carriers, another attempt from the Ukrainian side to repel Russian attack with a significant number of FPV drones and artillery strikes. But as we can see, at least according to the geolocation, in some episodes, the Russians managed to improve their positions along the village of Kurakhove itself and along the village of N15. And of course, the main question, what the Russians are going to do next, because once again, there are few options, several options. One of them is that the Russians are going to continue moving in the eastern part, in the central part of Kurakhove itself, or the Russians will try to outflank the settlement and to attack first the village of Dalnya. And as for the village of Dalnya, during the previous 24 hours, we got another video of how the Russians were bombing the territory of the settlement. So once again, few options. The first is that the Russians are going to move further along the N15 road and along 0510 road. This is the first possible development of the situation in this direction. Or the Russians will try to attack to the village of Dalnya and outflank the town of Kurakhove. It's currently, maybe even the Russians right now don't know for sure which direction they're going to use. I think that everything depends on the situation on the ground, which can be changed easily during the next few seconds. Now let's move further and let's talk about Kurakhovka-Hirnyk agglomeration. We have additional changes on the ground. During the previous 24 hours, the Russians managed to take under control up to 60% of the city, of the town of Hirnyk. At least this information was provided us by pro-Ukrainian sources. The armed forces of the Russian Federation is advancing directly to Hirnyk, capturing the entire northern part. The battles are now in the center. Up to 40% of the city's area is under Ukraine control. So that means that 60% is already under complete Russian control. As for the changes on the ground, according to neutral mappers, the Russians managed to improve their positions to the east of the village, so to the east of the settlement. So this is the changes on the ground according to neutral mappers. This block was captured by the Russians. Now let's move to the city of Selydove. We have a lots of very interesting updates. As you can see, the most important, we have geolocations that confirm that indeed the Ukrainians were caught in cauldron and the situation for Ukrainians become critical. First, let's talk about the eastern part. We have additional changes on the ground. We have this video. The video was published by the pro-Ukrainian sources, and in this video we can see several attacks of the armored forces of Ukraine in the eastern part of the settlement. We can see Russian soldiers that were moving from one building to another, and then we can see Ukrainian FPV drones that were attacking the Russians exactly in this point. Just a small piece of Selydove was added to the territory of Russian control. Now let's talk about the central part, and as for the central part, we have some changes on the ground. As you can see, this territory along the Lysychanskaya Street and the eastern part of Beregovo Street, Centralnaya Street, used to be under Ukraine control on the 21st of October, and today on the 22nd of October, this part of Selydove was captured by the Russians. Once again, I would like to remind you that most likely the Russians managed to capture this part of Selydove not due to the very heavy clashes, as I understand, due to very close situation of complete encirclement and complete cauldron. The Ukrainian forces are getting closer and closer to the most northeast western part of the settlement, with the purpose, when order comes, to retreat from the settlements and just to stay safe and to stay on the safe side. And now let's talk about the northern flank. As you can see, we have changes on the ground. Some of them were confirmed, some of them weren't confirmed. Let's talk about the confirmed changes. The Russian sources published the video of how they were hunting and attacking the Ukrainian forces along the tree line that goes from the road M30 in the southern directions toward the northern part of Selydove. We can see a Russian drone that was hunting the Ukrainians, that was attacking the Ukrainian forces, and in the end, it's a very long video and lots of episodes of how the Russians were FPV droning the Ukrainians. And just in the final part, this is it. In the final part, we can see in the left corner two Russian stormtroopers, and in the right corner we can see some trenches where two soldiers were trying to clear and to attack. This place was geolocated. The Russians managed to take under control this territory, and this is exactly the point that the Russian soldiers were storming. Based on this video, we have adjusted the map. Also, we have unconfirmed changes on the ground according to neutral mappers. According to Hirnyk, the Russians managed to shorten the distance between possible Russian edge positions and the road M30 itself to the less than 500 meters, and the Russians managed to take under control the northern part of Selydove itself. So let's compare the changes on the ground for the previous 2 days. This is the situation on the ground on the 21st of October. The Russians just improved their positions along M30 road, and by the beginning of the 22nd of October, the Russians managed to finish the encirclement, and they caught the Ukrainians in cauldron on the territory of Selydove itself. Of course, we still have a lot of questions about the situation on the ground along the railways, because during the previous few weeks we've been receiving lots of updates about additional Russian progress, but yet we haven't received anything that can confirm Russian control over the railways. Either the Russians managed to take the southeastern outskirts of the village of Vishnyovo, so we can't tell for sure whether these reports are right and correct. But anyway, we are going to keep this map as is until we got additional clarifications, and if we believe reports that were published by different military experts and different mappers, yes, indeed, the Ukrainians were caught in cauldron on the territory of Selydove, and we are talking about the significant number of forces, probably up to 5,000 soldiers were encircled by the Russians as a result of offensive operation. Now let's move further and let's talk about the Toretsk, New York agglomeration. During the previous 24 hours, the Russians managed to improve their positions in this dense network of the fortifications. At least this information was provided us by both neutral mappers and pro-Ukrainian mappers. Obviously, the significant progress of the armored forces of Russian Federation, the clashes for this complex network of the fortifications continues. Now let's move further and let's talk about the Kupian's direction. During the previous 24 hours, the Russians managed to improve their positions in the southern part part of the village of Kolisnykyvka. First, we got this report from pro-Russian sources yesterday on the 21st of October, somewhere at 3 p.m. of Ukrainian time. And today, by the morning of the 22nd of October, the neutral mappers also confirmed this advance of the armored force of Russian Federation. Obviously, now the Russians have strong control over this bank of the river Voskol, and the Russians are planning to improve their positions. The question is where exactly the Russians are going to move next, either in the northern direction or in the southern direction. Now let's talk about the Kursk area. We have lots of very interesting updates and we have changes on the ground. If you remember, probably on the 16th of October, on the 17th and the 16th of October, we got report that the Russians managed to break through the Ukrainian defense belt on the line between Zelený Shlях, Nova Ivanovka and Viktorovka, and according to some pro-Russian mappers, the Russians managed to take the village of Viktorovka under complete control. We colored this territory as contested area until we got additional clarifications. On the 18th of October, we got the first video that confirmed Russian advance exactly along the road between Nova Ivanovka and Viktorovka, and the Russians indeed managed to improve their positions. And this video was published in the internet on the 18th of October, and this is very important because based on this video we have adjusted the map, and based on this video we came to conclusion that the Ukrainians that were located in this artillery pocket were also caught in cauldron. And as for this territory, we were talking also about several brigades from 1 till 1.5 brigades of the armored forces of Ukraine. But today on the 22nd of October, we got very interesting and very important video that changes a lot. For example, today the Ukrainian sources published the video of the work of the 47th Mechanized Brigade. This is Bradley vehicle that was attacking the Russian positions on the territory of the village by the name of Nova Ivanovka. And of course this video changes a lot, and the most important, this video shows that most likely the Ukrainians managed to conduct unblocking operation and to release the Ukrainian forces that were caught in cauldron. For example, in this and the final part of the video we can see the work of Leopard in the same village. So the Ukrainian tanks and vehicles they were geolocated exactly in this place, and based on this video we have adjusted the map back into contested area, and as you can see we have returned this territory back not in Ukrainian favor. The problem is, and the thing is, that now it's very difficult to understand which event took place when. So for example, this video, according to different pro-Ukrainian mappers and military experts, took place on the 14th of October. This video was published just today on the 22nd of October, but basically these events of work of 47th Mechanized Brigade took place on the 14th of October. And the video with the Russian breakthrough along the road between Nova Ivanovka and the village of Viktorovka was published on the 18th of October. So based on these dates, we can make a conclusion that the Russian breakthrough took place later than the video with the Ukrainian activity in the village of Nova Ivanovka. But if we rewind the updates further back, we can say that the first reports that the Russians managed to take under control this territory was published by the pro-Russian sources on the 16th of October. So a lot of dates, and currently it's very difficult to understand which report goes after another report, and it's very difficult to build the chronology of the events exactly in this point. So based on this, we came to conclusion that as for now it's better to keep the territory in contested area until we get better and more reliable clarifications from the situation on the ground. So let's wait and see, and obviously sooner or later we're going to receive additional and very important updates about the situation in the Sudzha direction. Furthermore, we have information that the United States of America is providing Ukraine with a new military aid package worth $400 million, and this is very important because lots of people were saying that by the end of the year the Ukrainians will not receive anything, but despite the elections in the United States of America and despite the probably the problems with Zelensky victory plan, we see that the United States of America continues to support Ukraine and will continue doing this regarding the President of the United States of America. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.